So, how do you deal with a hypocrite? That was a question that was asked of me. I thought I'd give you an answer here according to what the Bible says, which may be a little bit different than what we would like or what we want to do. But when it comes to dealing with somebody whose actions don't match up with what they say, we look at Matthew chapter 18. But before we jump into that, let me say this. Let's realize this one thing: we're all hypocrites. Every one of us is a hypocrite to one point or the other. There are things that we say we believe, but there are times when our actions don't match up with our belief. So with that in mind, as you talk to somebody who is hypocritical, let's have a healthy measure of grace and mercy on that, realizing that we're all in the same boat. But at the same time, we need to call each other out. I think it's part of living in community is calling each other out when our actions don't match up with our behavior. I've said it before. I need people in my life that say, your actions aren't really matching up with your behavior. Now let's talk about that. So how do we handle a hypocrite? Or how do we deal with a hypocrite? Matthew chapter 18 and verse 15 says this: if your brother sins against you, does something against you, and I think we could say if your brother is hypocritical, go and show him his fault, just between the two of you. And if he listens to you, then you've won your brother over. But if he will not listen, then take one or two others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of two or three witnesses. If he refuses to listen to them, tell it to the church. And if he refuses to listen even to the church, treat him as you would a pagan or a tax collector. So how do you handle a hypocrite? The first thing that we need to do is we need to confront. You need to go one-on-one and talk to this person and just say, I'm seeing things in your life that aren't matching up. Can we talk about that? And for a lot of people, that's enough to shake them and say, yeah, that's right. What if that doesn't work? Well, what it says in Matthew chapter 18 is that then the next stage is you take a couple more people along and you do the same thing. Hey, I know we had this conversation before, but I want to have it again. You have two other people there. They can add some input. It's not an ambush, but they're adding input and they're also being a witness to that. Okay. If that doesn't work, then it says you turn it over to the church. Now that's an interesting thing. We don't see that happen quite a bit, but I think that what that means is then you enlarge it a little bit more. Okay. And if that doesn't work, then you say, we're gonna need to cut you off somehow. A lot of times it stops before it gets to that point. But what we need is people who will confront people. And I need people in my life to confront me, and you need people in your life to confront you. It's part of living in community. And you would say, yeah, what about when they hurt me, though? What about when the things that they've done have hurt me? Jesus says that we forgive somebody 70 times 7. That's a lot. Why even count? So my hope is that we can be a community of people who are full of grace, who are full of mercy, and when we see things in other people's lives that aren't matching up to what we say we believe, that we have conversations with each other about those things.